to marketing is the topic of conversation. Marketing, what is it? Marketing is based on thinking about the business in terms of customer needs and their satisfactions. Marketing differs from selling because, in the words of the Harvard Business School retired professor of marketing, Theodore C. Levitt, selling concerns itself with the tricks and techniques of getting people to exchange their cash for your products. I'm sure a lot of you in the room have done that down through the years in trying to sell a horse. It is not concerned with the values that the exchange is all about, and it does not, as marketing invariably does, view the entire business process and consisting of tightly integrated efforts to discover, create, arouse and satisfy customer needs. In other words, marketing has no less to do with getting customers to pay for your product as it does developing a demand for the product and fulfilling the customer's needs. All of it technical? Well, we'll hear a little bit more about that throughout the afternoon. Of course, you've all heard of the 4 Ps: the product, the price, promotion and place, and these will be central to today's discussions. The format for the afternoon will you all have a handout on your seat, and you'll see a card there with all the information on all of the speakers. We'll have the first session and we'll have a break. You'll also find 2 slips of paper in your bag, and that's for questions. And 5 minutes before the end of the first session, I'll ask you to write your question and direct it to the particular person that it is in relation to here on stage. They will be passed to me, and then I will hand them forward to the chairman of each particular group. Before we get underway with our first session of the afternoon, I'd like to introduce you to Elaine Hatton, who's International Marketing Director at Horse Sport Ireland. Elaine leads the International Marketing Division within Horse Sport Ireland, the creation of which was recommended in the industry strategy plan, Reaching New Heights. Elaine took up her role a year and a half ago and has been prominent on the national and international scenes over the short space of time. Elaine was previously the General Manager with Irish Thoroughbred Marketing, which promotes Ireland as the leading source for the production and sale of quality thoroughbreds worldwide. Her experience with ITM is valuable, as she now takes on the same role for Horse Sport Ireland and also for the pony industry as well. Before working at ITM, Elaine was Head of Marketing for Glanbia Agribusiness. Prior to that, she worked for TRM and obtained a bachelor's degree, followed by a master's in equine science from University of Limerick. Elaine has a strong background in the sport horse sector, having competed in show jumping, eventing and showing from a young age. Elaine began her career by working in sport horse yards in Germany, Austria, the US and of course here at home. She's just returned from a very successful mission, trade mission to the United Arab Emirates with Minister Creed, and promoted our industry with great success out there last week. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please put your hands together for Elaine Hatton.
On behalf of Horse Sport Ireland and the International Marketing Team, I'd like to welcome you and thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedule to attend Horse Sport Ireland's inaugural International Marketing Symposium. As Brendan said, the International Marketing Department was established in July 2015 as a result of the Reaching New Heights strategy commissioned by Minister Simon Coveney. Last year, 2016, was our first full year of activity, and we believe huge strides were made in the promotion of Ireland as a destination for equestrian events, education, coaching, tourism and the purchasing of horse and ponies. We utilised the Irish Horse Gateway brand in much of our activities, as this allowed us to impartially connect potential buyers directly with producers in Ireland. With modest research, the small marketing team worked tirelessly in the UK, Europe and the US across eventing, show jumping and showing disciplines. Numerous international delegations were hosted by the team here in Ireland. Memorandums of understanding were signed with organisations in China, South Korea and India, and all of which ensured reciprocal trade for Ireland, not only in bloodstock but also in terms of feed, saddlery and coaching and education. Just last week I attended a trade mission to the Gulf States with Minister Creed, who was very supportive of our efforts, and it's very encouraging for us to attend more of his trade missions. The International Marketing Team and I have travelled many countries now, and representing Horse Sport Ireland, there's one clear message from each country: there is a demand for Irish horses. They must be produced, packaged and marketed correctly. And that is where I hope this symposium will empower you to better promote your products and therefore receive a better return on investment. At this junction, at the start of 2017, it was important that we now empower the main stakeholders of the industry with current market information, and the panel of speakers gathered here today are in the best position to deliver this information to you. From our own international activities and whilst attending numerous public auctions last year, information was gathered from the international buyer, and this is some of what they had to say. They were travelling to Ireland to source predominantly event horses, show jumpers and hunters. 3/4 of them wanted animals that were broken and riding, and between the ages of 5 and 7. Temperament, followed by conformation, and riding standards were the three main criteria buying horses in Ireland. There is a resounding want for the Irish horse globally. Ireland is seen as land of the horse. In terms of equestrian tourism, there's a huge gap that we are not filling. In terms of high-end packaged offerings, there is a huge want out there from high net worth individuals to come to Ireland and experience the land of the horse and the tradition that is. Our international riders are absolutely brilliant ambassadors, and the want to send international children and young riders here to learn their sport provides wonderful opportunities to our professional HSI coaches. This year, going forward in 2017, the marketing division of Horseboat Ireland will take on a more active role at home, whilst maintaining our international interest. The New Heights Champion Series will predominantly run alongside the already well-established Irish Sport Horse Stud Box classes, which showcases our young horses. These competitions, running in 10 venues nationally, and with the final taking place at the Irish Breeders' Classic in Byrne, will allow us to attract buyers to varying shows on multiple occasions throughout the year. The overall New Heights prize fund for the series will be €110,000, including breeders' prizes. We will further assist breeders not only by promoting their stock internationally, but by also getting behind the HSI Mare Foal Championships this year to ensure winners are recognised as the finest of breeding stock nationally and internationally. In the last year, the marketing department has placed a huge emphasis on media relations to gain more exposure for our industry. This started with the Rio Media Day held at our National Sports Campus in Abbottstown in March 2016. And now, in early 2017, we are securing media rights for news coverage on our sport. Our sport is featured now regularly on the RT61 News Bulletin alongside other national broadcasters such as TV3. We are working with Show Jumping Ireland to broadcast our national Reaching New Heights Championship Series on TG Catter and other broadcasters. Our team around equestrian social media reach is the envy of other sporting organisations. In a recent independent survey carried by Sport for Business, Horseboat Ireland was ranked 4th in Ireland after the 3 major national sports. That follows GAA, Football Association of Ireland and Rugby Ireland. This ranking comes ahead of horse racing's Go Racing, who ranked 5th and beats many other growing sports. As a nation, we're notoriously poor at accepting compliments. Portraying self-confidence in our own net worth doesn't come naturally to us. We have a lot to be proud of in our industry. Our show jumping riders are winners, more listed in the top 50 ranking than any other nation. Our event horses are top of the world breeding rankings and have been for 21 of the last 23 years. Our profile in the sport of dressage has taken enormous leaps forward in the last 18 months. And our people are renowned for their equine husbandry skills the world over. We now need to market ourselves and our services in a professional manner. We need not just to sell a horse, we need to give customer satisfaction. Today's buyer wants more than to be shown a horse. They want an experience. A potential buyer is the most important visitor you will have in your yard or your show. They are not dependent on us, but we are dependent on them. They are not interrupting our work. They are the purpose of our work. We are not doing him a favour or her a favour by showing them our horses. They are doing us a favour by giving us the opportunity to do it. We in Horseboat Ireland are ambitious and are hopeful that we can grow interest, participation and trade. We have proven we can produce what the market needs. We must now do it with more consistency and reach out to global markets. They won't come to us. Yes, we have many challenges ahead of us. Brexit might be one of them, but we must take the positives out of each situation. We've always dealt with currency fluctuations, and Ireland will become the only English-speaking country in the EU. This will in itself bring new opportunities to us. Working together and united in our efforts, we'll put a strong case forward for additional funding. But in the meantime, we must put the head down and continue doing what we do best. Today, this event is for you. Use in your best interest. Take as much from it as you can. We will break for dinner at 4:15, and this will allow you a chance to do some networking. Myself and the team are here, but not only today. We're here throughout the year. We're all approachable, attending many shows and events nationally, and we're here to help you do business. Before I leave you, I'd like to thank our guest panellists, our chairs, and Brendan and our MC. The International Marketing Department are proud to bring in some of the world's leading equestrian businessmen and women. I am thoroughly looking forward to hearing from them, and I hope that everyone attending will take home something from today's symposium. Thank you very much.
Well done, Elaine. Well, we're ready to get started, and to chair our first session of the afternoon, moving our industry forward through marketing, is Suzanne Campbell. Just to let you know about Suzanne, she's an award-winning journalist, television and radio presenter with RTE. Suzanne reports on farming and equestrian issues for RTE radio and television, and writes for publications such as the Irish Times, the Irish Independent, the Gloss magazine. Suzanne is a former series producer for RTE's farming television series Ear to the Ground, and continues to work in RTE. She has won 2 Guild of Agricultural Journalists Awards and has lectured in PR and marketing for the Public Relations Institute of Ireland. She has chaired events for the Department of Agriculture, National Dairy Council and the Food Safety Authority for Ireland. She is a member of the BHSAI, and she's a hunt member and a keen follower of national hunt racing. Would you please give her a warm welcome, Suzanne Campbell.
What a lovely day, what a lovely occasion this is. I mean, if we're talking about marketing, I think the first people to congratulate today is actually HSI, because they could have sold 2 roomfuls for this event. It's been a tremendous, tremendous success. And we've really exciting speakers to hear from today. So what I'm going to do first of all is just introduce them one by one briefly, and then we'll talk across a lot of different topics which they'll all chip in on, and they'll all add to our knowledge about marketing the sport horse sector. So welcome to this first session, which is called Moving Our Industry Forward Through Marketing. And we'd really like you to share your insights, and we have a hashtag today which is hashtag HSI Marketing. So if you tweet, or if you want to take pictures and share them on Facebook, you can use those social media tools, and we'll be talking very much about social media in this session. It's a very, very fast moving area, and we have some great speakers on that. So first of all, I'd like to introduce our first guest. Her name is Nina Barbour. She's very well known in English circles. She's a Cheshire girl, and on her family estate Bolesworth, she has started one of the most successful shows in recent years, called Bolesworth. It's a 4-star show. She's also started a Liverpool show, just her new baby that began this Christmas into New Year. So I'd like to welcome to the stage Nina Barbour. I'm going to bring you over here. Let's take a seat here.
Don't mind.
Really? It's okay. So first of all, Nina, I'm just going to ask a few questions about each of our guests as they come up. Tell us about Bolesworth first of all, and what was your objective coming into that?
So Bolesworth's my family home in Cheshire, and I started after school with a very, very amateur career in eventing, and initially sort of thought, well, you know, we could run an event here, it'd be a great venue for it, but started to get a little bit more into the show jumping, and felt that it was more commercial sport going forwards for what I wanted to do. Got a bit more interested in the sport myself, competing a bit more, knowing a few more people in the sport, and it was an easier package to deliver on ground that is heavy clay in Cheshire, quite wet, and that's how we started 10 years ago now with a national event, and you know, even when we started it started very organically, and the marketing was probably the least at the back of my mind when we started it, and it was about establishing the event, getting providers there, and increasingly, and especially since we started Liverpool, which has a stadium with 6,000 empty seats, and all of a sudden, with an indoor show, that comes to the front of your mind, and you think, to make this show a success,
You need to fill it.
Be perceived as a success, which is the starting point. It's got to be full, and through that, suddenly the marketing becomes a focus.
And we'll hear more about that later on. Our next, I'm going to go through them quickly to get everybody up on the stage. Aisling Byrne from Longford, a lot of you would know her as a rider. In fact, I think she's heading to Spain tomorrow. She's a very good amateur rider. But she's also the managing director of a business called Journey Through Ireland, bringing tourists to Ireland for a travel experience they won't find anywhere else. So she's going to enlighten us on her equine tourism business, and also her perception as a show jumper and shows and the horse environment here against what's going on in the world. So I'd like to welcome, please, Aisling Byrne. How are you? You sit down there beside Nina. Tell us, just to go back a little bit, how did you go from show jumping into tourism?
Well, I've always done show jumping as a hobby, and I competed throughout my college years and so on. So it was a happy accident that I entered into the tourism world. I have an interest in a coach company, and in 2008 this tourism business came up and I took it over, and from there I rebranded and restructured it from there. It's a longer story, but that's it in a nutshell.
How do you divide up those two jobs, which are so different, and which takes up more of your time? I've seen the riding and competing.
Well, yes and no. Both take a huge amount of time. The tourism is a lot of attention to detail and relationships with your clients. They really want to feel that, especially with Journey Through Ireland, it's high-end customised tours is what we create. So the client wants to feel special and know that their tour is high on the priority list. So I deal mostly in America and Canada in those markets. So the time difference actually plays to my favour. So I'll clear out all my work in the morning, ride horses during the day, and then I'm back to them before they know I've left the office in the afternoon. So it's good.
Very good, very good. We'll hear more from you about that. I'd like to move now to Diarmuid Byrne. I actually first came across Diarmuid Byrne and his business Equity Ratings online on Twitter. We're going to talk about that as a channel for discovering new businesses. Together with his partner, Sam Watson, he's launched Equity Ratings in 2015, and it's a data and content analysis tool for equine sports. At the moment, it's concentrated on eventing, it's moving into show jumping, and has all sorts of applications. They've won a couple of Young Entrepreneur Awards, and it's been a huge success. So please welcome Diarmuid Byrne. So tell us, I know maths isn't the strong point of most people in this room, and I'm saying myself, and I even tried to get my head around what your business is. Give us an idea of it.
Before we go any further, maths isn't me either.
Good, so I'm glad to hear that.
Passed maths in first year with my apples and oranges. But no, that's Sam Watson's side of the business. That's Sam was at the end of university where nobody went. He was all databases, maths, statistics. We were in school together, and then we lived together in university. While he was doing that, I was doing law. At that stage, he was focusing on his own performance, and I mean, he's a real freak. Like, we're very lucky in the sport. He is out of a level that I think of the 11 in his class, 10 have went on to work in Goldman Sachs and Deutsche Bank and all those places. And he
what is he doing in eventing?
I know. He decided at the end of university that I'm going back to event. That's what I want to do. So he brought that level of coding and programming ability, plus his own intuition, to his own performance. He used to not be able to show jump. And then from beginning to track what William and Pippa and Ingrid and Andrew were doing with 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds in October versus February, he went on he developed a performance analysis tracking system for himself. And then I joined him as someone who could, I was working in law at the time, joined him to help commercialise it. And yeah, as you said, it's because there was a need there wasn't like sports analytics and data analytics. It's big in every other sport. We're behind in the equestrian sports. And
it's huge. I mean, when you watch the rugby, look how much information you're given on the screen about possession, about plays, about how much mileage players are running. it's part of the offering now, isn't it? You know, and you expect that in a lot of sports.
Absolutely. I mean, as you say, rugby uses it very well for performance. A huge amount. You'll see during the Six Nations, you'll see they sit up at a level in that glass box, and when the substitutions are made, it's actually made through data. So they've got stat sports who work with them. There's a little thing in just between the shoulder blades, and it tells them, you know, actually at 68 minutes, this person's performance in terms of sprints made and that kind of thing drops significantly. That's why they really use it as a management tool. Golf, the same in terms of distance to pin. Tennis, your like first serve percentages in football, you've got pass completion rates and touches in the box, and baseball is where it started in the US. So we have actually very data-rich sports in the equestrian world. We've huge opportunities that it presents. So we have been very successful in bringing it to safety, but also performance, and that's just in eventing. And today we're going to look at, I presume, in more detail how it works with marketing and how you can use the data to help create a message and then send a message.
And sell it, absolutely, and how that data has potential across all sorts of different fields. We'll be talking about that, which is absolutely fascinating stuff. We'll move to our next guest. Ben Hobday, he needs no introduction to many people here. He's a Lancashire lad, came up to a pony club to championship level, went to William and Pepper Funnel as a working pupil, and they guided him successfully onto the under-21 eventing championships and selection for British Young Rider squad. In 2008, he won team gold and individual bronze at the European Championships, and since then he's been competing and winning hearts really all over the eventing circuit. He's a huge social media following. His ride, Murray's Error, if you've seen him on Twitter, he has his own account, and it's absolutely fascinating stuff. He was diagnosed with cancer in 2015, and his recovery, I think, brought an awful lot of warmth to his followers and an awful lot of engagement with event riders, and I think he became a bit of a mascot for the riding scene. So I'm really interested to hear his views on a lot of topics today. So please welcome Ben Hobday. So Ben, what we might hear from you just for a few minutes at the beginning is just give us a little bit of background to your career there. But I suppose, what were the standout moments where something changed, where you went, I'm really on the road now? Was it, you know, training? Was it advice? Was it a particular horse?
I still don't really think I've got to that point now. But as far as my social media changed, I think initially I did it all for fun, good crack with all my friends, and then I think a lot of young people have a perception that they're going to start riding and then I'm going to get 10 owners, they're all going to be millionaires, and life's going to be plain sailing. And the truth of it is it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And I wanted to find a way to make it work financially for me so that I could not just survive, that I could earn a living. And by using social media, it creates and builds my brand, which then in turn I can deliver figures actually bigger than a lot of advertisement companies that I can then sell to potential sponsors, companies. As again, back to the younger people riding, I think when they have the idea of sponsorship in their head, they just think they'll get free stuff. Well, free stuff's irrelevant to me in a way, because if you have horses, things cost a lot of money, you've got them. So it's got to add value to me, and you know, when I can deliver figures, then the sponsor gets back what I get off them.
It's a mutual relationship, which marketing is, which is precisely what we're here to talk about. They win and you win. Yeah. Have you big ties to Ireland in terms of you compete here? Do you visit here to buy horses?
Yeah, I compete here quite often, and I do buy horses over here. My owners love it over here because, you know, the events over here are all different, but the thing they have in common is they're always looking after the people who pay, customer, and a lot of events forget that, and I can probably come across with some event organiser in here today, a bit stroppy, but you know, I'm only protecting my business, which is my owners who pay my bills, and if they get a good service, they'll pay more money. So it's a knock-on effect.
And they'll get more involved in the experience.
Yeah.
Because if the experience is not an inviting one or a good one, why should they commit more to it?
Yeah, you know, on paper, if you're on an event, you're not doing it to make money.
No.
It doesn't add up. Obviously, the pricing needs to be better, but it's not going to happen straight away. So, you know, if you're spending money and you're made to feel like a bit of a VIP, a bit special, you'll spend more.
Exactly.
It's simple as that.
Exactly. Something we're going to tease out, a very big topic at the moment is owners and how they're treated and how we try to work them to the sector. I'll just introduce our last speaker, who's Erin Gilmore. She is content editor at noelfloyd.com. Now, if you've been online at all in the past few years and you look at Equine Contact, you would have come across this site. It's super glamorous, beautiful pictures, well-written content, which I'm a bit of a stickler on, and good English and good interviews and good incisive analysis. And it's really become a powerhouse, largely around show jumping, but it also now feeds into different equestrian sports. It talks about polo, it covers eventing, and it is now getting more of a European focus, particularly from Erin, who has been here a couple of times. So she is a long-standing equestrian journalist. Her work has appeared in Chronicle of the Horse, Horse Sport International, and she was editor of Horse and Style magazine. She was also assistant trainer to top national and international jumpers, and she's a rider and has a very deep connection to this industry. So please welcome Erin Gilmore. So first, Erin, we might hear a little bit, if you've someone in the room today and they haven't heard about noelfloyd.com, explain it to us.
Noelfloyd.com was started actually just as a blog in 2010 by Noel Floyd. She is Canadian, she came over to Europe, she wanted to tell people about her experience, and from the very beginning, her calling card was strong photography, and her blog got very, very popular very fast. I joined it in 2015. It was somewhat of a news source in 2015. Since then, we've expanded into a pretty big media platform based in international show jumping. That's my strength, but as you mentioned, it's expanded now even further to a sister site. It's called Noel Floyd Style. We started that in July of last year before the Olympics, and it's quickly just become, I think it's half as popular now in under a year than noelfloyd.com is. So really focused on show jumping. Like you say, I've been to Ireland quite a few times, not just for the RDS, but to visit farms and kind of tell the stories of riders and breeders here as well.
Okay, be a little bit of sound mentioned it. So, and I really want to ask you about your experience of the Irish shows as well in a minute. And I think what we might do is, at this point, before I use you up, start with Nina and go back and talk for a little bit about shows and events and marketing of shows, filling seats, and the experiences of all sorts of users, you know, whether there are horse owners coming there, whether they're press, whether they're punters, and how we make that better. You talked a little bit about Bolesworth. Liverpool, you know, it came to my notice Liverpool first because I saw Laura Collett, one of your buddies, then online on Twitter tweeting this amazing video of the motorcyclists. And can I explain to people, Liverpool show had incredible entertainment events. You not just had top classes, but you really focused on the entertainment. Was that part of how you successfully sold it out?
Yeah, I think the first thing to recognise is that England definitely, and probably Ireland to a certain extent, are in a different box than the rest of the world when it comes to top international show jumping and sport. You can go to America, you can go to Europe, and you can fill an international show. You can make an international show stack up with your hospitality guests, your riders, your connections. It's such a strong industry or such a strong model out there. But whereas definitely in England, to fill a stadium of people, you've got to appeal to the public.
Yes.
And that makes it really difficult. I think Dublin probably fits into the same sort of model, but it's built up over years and years and years in your capital city and in the land of the horse. And so that's been, that's where, I said before, marketing suddenly has become my absolute focus in the last 2 years, and it's really, really difficult to communicate our sport across the public. And so for me, it's a really difficult finding a line and drawing a line between attracting people by making it sound like a really interesting family-focused show, but then it's been also brilliant to see the reaction from the public when they come and actually love the sport. But
people who are not equestrian followers, if you like.
Well, I think.
And how much of your audience would you say that was?
Well, we've done quite a few surveys with
Yeah.
Liverpool, and it's actually quite interesting because it's a much horsier crowd than I thought. But it's not your, you forget that if you're in the sort of elite sport horse world, you're looking at sort of the top 2% of the industry. And so I'd say most of the people in that stadium have been touched by a horse or been dragged along by someone that has been. But they're not necessarily hit by, your industry media, and you've got to use the whole spectrum. And it's been quite sort of an experimental journey of seeing what works and what doesn't work. But interestingly, in year one, I pulled a lot of areas back. A lot of the equestrian media spend actually back, and it was a big mistake, and we went backwards on numbers. And so it's really looking at the whole broad spectrum, and still TV advertising comes up really high. Social media advertising is really significant, but you've kind of got to look at
everything, because you've all different kind of clients coming. What would be you've obviously been over here a lot and been around a lot of Irish shows. What would be your advice to Irish shows? How could we improve? I mean, it's a myriad topic, and obviously you've every type of show within that grouping, but of the big show jumping events which you would put on, what are simple steps that you can do to improve those?
Well, I think first of all you've got to kind of look at what's happened over the last 10 years, and the sport and the industry have fundamentally changed. And we see it in England. A lot of the riders are going abroad now. In England, we're losing a lot of the mid-level professionals to Belgium, to the Sunshine Tours, to Holland. And you've got to kind of look at what they want now. And we were talking about this morning. Yes, prize money is the driving force for show jumping, but there's more factors than that. That if you want to keep your your semi-professional or professional producers and competitors at home, it's not only prize money, the footing's got to be right. The horse is now too valuable and potentially too valuable to not be competing on really safe, really sound footing. And that's, if it's under a foot of water, it's still got to be really good. And I think, now that horses become valuable because of their international records, if you're looking at getting a lot of money for a horse. And so, actually, the international shows are really important, and I think in England I would like to see a circuit of 2-star level events, which is sort of really the minimum level where if you tag a few together, people can come and do business, people can come and entertain their clients, and that's what you need to keep people.
Actually, I'll bring you into this as well. Obviously, you ride predominantly in Europe. Why is that? What is it about our circuit that doesn't meet your needs?
I suppose, as Nina mentioned, it's the quantity of international shows that I can get to within an hour or two's driving distance of where I'm based in Belgium. It just adds so much value to the horses. We breed a few horses at home, and we always produce them up through the grades. And I just found when I based in Belgium that I could just produce them to, I suppose, a better standard due to the shows. I could get to a show every week or every other week and just continuously work on improving them in the ring at the higher levels and move them up through the ranks. I have huge options from 135, 140, 145 and so on each week, as opposed to maybe having to wait for the international shows. We have a handful of them here, and you work towards them, and if your horse is off form that week, that's their only international record that they have here, unfortunately. So that was a big draw point. Obviously, their prize money is fantastic as well, and just the amount of buyers at the shows that are there, and it's just a whole, a bit of a different world over there. It's really horsey orientated, and you just make great connections and contacts there, which you'd hope we could do here as well, and we should be able to, hopefully.
Is it working for you, that strategy?
Yes,
You're going to stay doing what you're doing?
Yes, this year I'm going to do it a little bit different, where I want to get back to support the shows here throughout. So I'm going to do the Sunshine Tour and get the horses up and going, and then I want to come back. Obviously I'll do Ballsworth show and Windsor hopefully, but I want to get back from Mullingar International Show and some of the shows here, and I've also used the shows here to get my younger horses ready to go on the Sunshine Tour. So I'm going to mix it up a little bit and try and do a bit of both, because Ireland is known for the horse, and we have the best riders here. You know, we really have all the groundworks available to us. So it's just, it's nice to support home as well, but it's good to get the experience of away.
Yeah, and clearly, you know, riders at your level and who are very ambitious are doing both. And I suppose it's kind of a chicken and egg thing, because we lose a lot of young riders who work overseas, who work on the continent, who work in Florida, and when they become more starry, they're not competing in Irish shows, so they're not drawing people in, you know, and that's just lends itself to more discussion later on. And Erin, I'm going to bring you in here on shows, and particularly show jumping. What is your impression of Irish shows that you've been to?
Well, I'm a big fan of the RDS, which I try not to miss. As far as international shows go, my job is focusing on the 5-star circuit, so you know that's once a year for me, really. Although I went to Quebec from Cavan last November. Haven't. Yeah, I did not vlog. Haven't.
More trophies.
I think as a person who produces content and show jumping news for people around the world, on my radar it's 5-star RDS, which is one of the best shows of the year, and how they treat the media and how they present the competition. Like, hands down, I have to tell you guys how amazing that show is. And the national level, CSI 2-star level here, it's just sort of on my radar more when a rider like Greg Broderick in the last couple of years started being super successful and coming up. But Irish shows for me in Ireland kind of begins and ends with RDS.
Okay, and it's a show, I suppose it's unusual, it has an incredible history. When we look at shows like, you know, Wellington and what's you know, supported in the US, we're sort of wowed by it, and we don't want to lose our riders to competing in those arenas, but that's where the money is, and that's where the points are, and that's where the energy is. What would your tip be to improve ourselves in that area in terms of our offerings, and as a journalist, to improve things in terms of how you write about it and how you cover it?
It's just so important, whether you're running a 2-star or a 1-star or a 3-star, that you reach out and market, as Nina said, and connect with people like me around the world of show jumping. And it starts with the show producers being professional, just communicating a good photo, a quote, something, and getting it on our radar, because our reach is over 500,000 people per year, and our goal this year is to reach well over 1 million. So if you can give me the good information that's clear and on time, then your reach is expanded exponentially. Just tell us what's going on. And maybe it's not a big deal even in the first year, but I start knowing the riders, start knowing the horses, and it builds from there, really.
Mm-hmm. And from an eventing point of view, how would you characterise the shows here? There's everyone, when I interviewed over 10 in the Valentine's last year, and you know, he'd say the fellas are amazing, it's like a family, owners feel welcomed. Is that enough?
I certainly come over here quite a lot when there are shows in England that I could stay back for, but I choose to come to Ireland because of the customer service, you know. All the shows I've been to have been very welcoming. If you need something, they'll try and do it for you, and that goes a long way. Okay, it doesn't pay the bills, but most of events it doesn't at the minute. I think the one thing all events should need to improve on is their internet, because they do moan about it, some in England mainly, but you know, the way I look at it is it's free marketing. You stick Wi-Fi on and you've got all your competitors posting pictures, tweeting, and you know, that's all it costs.
Absolutely, it's a very simple thing, but it's crucial. Yeah.
It's actually not that simple though to deliver, because we've tried to deliver Wi-Fi across our site at home, and it actually, you know, you invest a certain amount, and maybe that's £3,000 or £4,000 to try and do that, and it doesn't work. And then actually it turns into a negative, because actually it can't come with bloody Wi-Fi. And they say we've got free Wi-Fi. To actually make Wi-Fi work across a site is probably different in a show centre, but across in a field,
yeah,
you're talking about probably £10,000 or £15,000 worth of investment. So it's just another one of those things that you know, it's easy to say, oh, let's get the Wi-Fi working, but it can actually work as a negative as a show organiser. It's kind of half do it,
yes,
and don't. So what we've tried to do is pick certain spots where it does work, rather than because the companies will come along and say, oh, we'll deliver you Wi-Fi for £3,000, and they don't.
Yeah.
So that was just a point from the other side.
I agree with that. I was at the Web Summit a few years ago, famously, when the Wi-Fi went down, and it was just, people were like babies in the crash. They had such a biggie fit over, basically, because there were tech people from all around the world. They wanted to share information, and they wanted to be actually working while they're listening to speakers. They're all working away. And yes, it can rub up people the wrong way, so you're either probably better off not offering at all, or else offer it in very specific areas, or offer it and invest in it where it performs.
Or getting orange than last up.
There you go. That's what you've obviously done. We might talk about, Ben, coming back to you and looking at your experience of being over here about Irish horses and move the discussion on to Irish breds. Is it what you look for when you buy, or how important, or does it just have to be good in general care?
I might say something wrong here, but
Go on.
most of the Irish horses I buy actually probably come from the continent, which doesn't bother me. I'd like to buy. I buy from Ireland quite a lot. What we were discussing earlier is that what I like is if I come over and I've got a few people I speak to and they'll show me horses and they'll not mess me around. If this is the type of horse I like and I want to pay, I'll buy it and do it. Whereas a few instances I've met people and they take you down the garden path and show you horses that are not what you're after, either not quality enough or too much money for what the horse is worth. Mm-hmm. And okay, I'm sure we've all had someone in our yard who doesn't know what they're doing and will spend too much money on a horse. But if you're dealing with the professional, I presume they want me, to keep repeating what I'm doing and buy more horses. And certainly one fellow I deal with, he gets me the right price and I'll buy 10 off him instead of one.
So do you feel there's still a bit of messing around going on, and does that affect you negatively in terms of your experience?
That's not just in Ireland, that's everywhere. But for the amateur coming over, if they get stung once, they're not going to come back either. And again, I think too many people are a bit short-sighted, that's all. Because I'm doing it to make money. So if you take all the profit out of the horse, then I'm not going to buy another one off you, am I?
So it's a relationship. You'd rather work with someone that you have a relationship with a long time, that the animals are good and you can develop them on and that you trust them.
Well, anyone can have a good horse, can't they? And sometimes you've got to pay a bit more over the odds for the horse. I appreciate that, but just as a generalisation, that's it. There's a lot of time wasted in looking at rubbish and listening to rubbish. When if they just said that in the first place, you go, no worries, send me another video and I'll come back over next week.
Right.
And I ask for videos sometimes and they make me feel like I'm being a bit of a pain in the ass.
Yes.
At the end of the day,
that should be automatic.
I bought 2 horses over videos in the last month because I trust the person, and to me that's easy for them, isn't it? If they're good horses like they say they are, and they turn out they are, then you do it again. But it takes a bit of time and to build that relationship to be able to do that.
So what cuts out the effort for you? Obviously knowing the person, maybe having a relationship with them, and videos, good background information,
so you can
on
see
it,
what
good
the horse
clarity
is.
on it.
Yeah, if the horse is what you say it is, then fair enough. But most people within the sport, time is precious and time is money. If I waste time looking around at horses that are not suitable, I could spend that day at home producing the ones I've got to sell or teaching and then any problem with it. Or selling the nice horses that I've got, where as I'm trying to expand and buy more and more horses, you're just trying to sieve out looking at stuff that you didn't ask to see.
And absolutely.
It just brings back, Elaine asked me, we were having a conversation about why are more people going to Europe to buy instead of Ireland, where the good Irish horse is coming from. And you hit the nail on the head, really. It just seems to me, and in my opinion, is that Europe seems to be set up a little bit more professionally, I suppose. The buyer comes in, they say what they want, and they're shown kind of what suits them, not kind of chancing their arm, showing them something that might hopefully on the day suit them. The horse that they show them is groomed before they get there, it's presented well, and the price is realistic to what the person wants. And like that, people are coming and repeating business. So if an agent comes they're happy to come back with their clients because obviously they want to look after their clients. They don't want to frustrate them by not having videos ready or
not having the horse there, or not having another one there. And this kind of
exactly, things like that. So I think maybe from that perspective, we can certainly improve that way, where we can, I suppose, not imitate, but at least work towards. We produce horses very well, but maybe just to show them as well, so that we get the buyers in here. So, being organised, having your horse, groomed, having your videos ready, your passport ready, up to date, good quality videos from nice shows is really important. As you said, lots of people will buy off a video, even though it sounds hard to believe, but you do build up that trust over time. So they're really valid points of ways that we can improve, and then you have that mutual trust, and you get repeat business from that.
And I suppose what we're talking about here is marketing the Irish horse. Marketing is about a customer relationship. That transaction has to be not a time-wasting one, not something that is, a kind of, you go down a rabbit burrow and it doesn't work out to be the type of animal you want or the type of experience, but a pleasant transaction, doesn't it? And you go, I've gone out of this situation, I'm going to go back to that person again.
Yes, and the experience they have. So if they bring their clients to a show, to a yard, and it's clean, it's organised, it gives the client comfort that there's a quality product there and that they're professionals and they know what they're doing, and it just gives them that feeling of trust straight away instead of walking into a chaotic yard that's maybe not tidy, or they wonder sort of what product they're going to see, and then as you said, they're seeing horses that didn't fit what they said they wanted. And a lot of buyers now know what they want, and if it's an amateur or friendly horse, they don't want something that rears and bucks or whatever it might be. So I think the longer term view is the better one to take, and that's what others have done. And your odd horse that has potential, will get over the odds. But for repeat business and recurring business, you want agents to be comfortable and confident to bring their clients over again and again, and that they'll have somewhere set up that they can see a video or have a cup of tea, or it builds that relationship where they can speak to the clients, start to tell them about the horse and get them intrigued, instead of frustrating them and wasting their time because they're going to another yard and you've delayed them by not having things ready.
And that still does happen regrettably, and even in very good yards, by the way, it can happen. Diarmuid.
Sorry, Suzanne, sorry, just to interrupt you in your thought there. There's a car causing a major obstruction that the hotel have asked us to, in case of somebody here, 08D34452. It's a black Volvo. That's 08D34452. It's causing an obstruction. It'll be towed away if it's not.
That might be mine. I'm not kidding you. Come on.
Give us the keys. Give us the keys. There's no VIP parking here. I'm sorry, Suzanne. Okay, we'll let you back.
Anyway, I'm having a bad month, by the way. Just today, I'm having, anyway, I won't go through. Diarmuid, the Irish thoroughbred, or the Irish mentors, you're gathering all these figures, we'll top this little book. Can we sit in our laurels and tell us where it is in your analysis? It's a complex question, I know.
Yeah, I think one of the things which is certainly, it's very topical right now internationally and around the world, is the format change that we're looking at for the Olympic sports. What that means is there a bigger shift coming to perhaps shorter level competition with CIC and what event writing masters and those type of people are doing, with the marketing that goes around very big 1 and 2 days compared to what it takes to put on CCI events. With Olympics and Worlds going to more of a 3-star level, does it change the type of horse? In our opinion, it won't. I think thoroughbreds and cross country will remain the focus. Certainly from everything that we've seen so far, there's a level that you have to be able to hit in dressage, and I think it's a critical area that we're in now, where if you're competent at 1-star level, this isn't about it. If you're competent at 1-star level, you score 0 in a with a clear round inside the time and a clear round show jumping. But in dressage, we were able to constantly, that's where the competitive advantage is. People want lower and lower dressage marks to the point that you can break a British dressage record in eventing a la Chris Byrne and knock 4 and still win a major 4-star. And where this brings us to is what type of horse and what type of horse have we got and what are we trying to do in eventing, where you can have a situation that we've got a very good horse in the first phase that potentially isn't the strongest show jumper, it's still a major 4-star. We've got, if you think of what Levisio Tech Sam, possibly one of the most complete or the most recognised eventors ever, potentially ever. Certainly his achievements would suggest that. If he was going to, let's say, Somerford Park now, or any of the very big 1 and 2 stars, his dressage from where he was doing dressage when he started, he was kind of placing him like 60th, 61st in the field. Nobody's buying Levisio Tech Sam now. They're just not buying that type of horse because they want a horse that can do 25 dressage. Now, if that horse goes on to 3 and 4 star, we've got huge problems with safety that we're looking at, and we've actually got course designers. I've been in a room with some of the top course designers in the world talking about the last 2 minutes of a course. Do we have to ease up the last 2 minutes of a course in eventing because that's where we're seeing problems?
Are you saying that you found data that horses who do sub 30 tests are less safe?
No.
But how does that connect? Because it's
sorry, what I mean by the connection is that in terms of the type of horses, so some like your thoroughbreds are less likely to be hit like. I suppose.
Move differently.
Yeah.
The technique most of the time is different as well. You know, a real good jumper, you do very little and it's boom, automatic, whereas the dressage is just going like this, so it's harder to get his shoulder out of the way. You know, there'll be
you
some
want the
freaks.
thoroughbreds to finish the track, but it comes back to this discussion about Irish horse. What you want better test results. So what's
Well, I think where we are is that we're probably certainly in eventing where it's questionable whether we have, we are the complete test of horse and rider. We're certainly much more influenced by the dressage phase at the moment, and it's the most subjective phase also. So there's.
Where do you see that going for breeders, for people that are here who are breeding Irish horses? And it's so much the case that the test is deciding nearly everything.
The test is deciding. Actually, looking at data at 4-star level, 97% of winners on the 4-star over the last 10 years are in the top 10. Like 50% or just under 50% are actually dressage leaders. And yet we're a sport where the excitement and, in eventing again, we're a sport that talk about the excitement of cross-country days. Most of the competitions, this is all through the levels. If you go down to 1-star level, even more so, to come from outside the top 5 in dressage to win, next to impossible.
So what should breeders be doing with your data? How can they use your data to turn out better? To turn out horses that can compete within the parameters that we're talking about. Dressage is such.
I don't think we change for formats, because given the timeline between breeding and when these horses are coming on, like yourself that one decision from Lausanne or one decision from a governing body around a new format change, and suddenly you're left with a field of horses that don't match it. I don't think eventing will stay as a dressage competition. I think that there's lots of work being done internationally and nationally at all levels to make sure that it's a complete test. And I do think that thoroughbreds play a huge part in eventing. The challenge of cross country continues to grow at the top level. We've just come from, if you look at Michelet completion rates and how Michelet's horses tracks go, you're looking at all his championship tracks. 41 when he did Le Moulin, 42 when he did Caen, and he just came off the back of this Olympics where it was a 40. Now that's completion on the completion without penalties in the cross-country phase. So if you can, and we talk about this all the time on the podcast and in high performance as an indicator of success, what we talk about is FODs, the ability to finish on your dressage. So whatever that is, your FODs is rare. It's very rare that people can finish on their dressage score.
But if you're not doing that, you're not going to get there.
No, that's a huge indicator of success now. But there's not that many doing it, and the jumping phases are important. I don't think that the weight in dressage will last a long term. I think formats are good.
Ben, what can you chip in on that? What's your thought about the formats and the horses that we're producing to meet the current format?
Badminton and Burley are amazing events, and there's a certain type of horse that can do really well at those, but to be more commercial, I think the CIC format is much better from a rider's point of view, because if the event markets it better and people can see the event happening in front of their eyes rather than trekking around a format course, and I think there's more option to make more money, to offer more prize money, but it has a knock-on effect, because the riders complain to the organisers say they can't do nothing about it, and it's, the riders protecting their own business. If it was changed and said, okay, the top 20 riders, we're going to pay you to be there, however, to do that you're going to sign this contract, that means we've got you for X amount of time per day, now you're going to entertain our sponsors. I'd do that, because the owner's not paying as much, but I'm getting paid, so they're going to put more money in to maybe buy more horses, and they've got my time, which is valuable, so they can use that to entertain their potential customers or new customers. I think some events are a little bit short-sighted. One massive event, one of the biggest ones in the world, we went and got my tickets. They only got the tickets. I said I'd like a few more, please, but I've got a big sort of following with friends. And
entourage.
Let's be honest. And I said no. And this is a woman who owns one horse. And I've got a partner, so she had 2 tickets she got. I said, you're so, I said to the event director, he's so short-sighted. I said, she goes on holiday every year, one of the richest men in the world. If I could invite him, he might enjoy himself, he might spend a couple more mil, how do you know? But they're so short-sighted. He said, oh, well, what about if we did that for everyone would come in and we won't be able to keep track of it. I said, put my name on his forehead if you need to, because then come to me if there's a problem. But, we can't invite customers in, new potential customers, to see the sport, to then spend the money, but they're not going to spend the money without knowing what they're getting involved in. It's like a closed door half the time.
That needs to really be improved, doesn't it?
Yeah. If the event is a commercial event and people are trying to get in, and there's so many places allocated per rider, as in, like, how is shows going to keep improving, or events keep improving? And I understand your point of view where in terms of that to give extra tickets, but there is a big demand, and Dublin Horse Show is a big one here that we can talk about, because the demand for extra tickets is huge on them. It actually puts extra pressure on the RDS.
Eventing's a bit different than the show jumping show, because you've got X amount of seats. For badminton, you can walk around free. I'm talking about my close team, so they can come backstage, have a look at the horses. They might not even say till show jumping day, but if they have an amazing time cross country day, maybe not offer it all at once, but
and
something.
I suppose it's talking about owners and
yeah,
connections. It's not really, I suppose, oh, my friend from home wants to come. You're talking about owners and resources and money that
would happen if
put into the sport.
If the competitors weren't at badminton, they won't make no money. Robbie Williams doesn't go to a concert and pay to sing, does it?
Robbie Williams is not giving loads of free tickets.
But you've got to start somewhere, that's what I'm trying to say. You're being short-sighted now by saying that, because what about if Richard Branson walks in and goes, oh, you give me a free ticket, I like this, what about your horse? Well, you're the event director, you're a nice guy, I could do something here.
That's where, as an organiser, you've got to have the right person in your accreditation office that can make that call.
Yeah, and they have to have experience and they have to know who people are.
It's not just having somebody following a set of rules, it's having somebody clued up enough that they can see you and say, oh, you're not taking the make out of it, we'll give you another one or another. And it's down to, that's where it gets very frustrating as an organiser. If you put the wrong person in the wrong spot, it starts upsetting people.
It's constant friction then. Well, how do you treat owners? What do you, I mean, it's something we really need to talk about, I suppose. I know that last weekend in Florida there was a reception for show jumping owners. I think it's become apparent. Look how owners are treated in racing. It's absolutely fantastic. They feel it's an occasion. They dress up. They have their own hospitality areas. What do you do at Bolesworth in Liverpool? Was that an important aspect of your offering?
I think it's a really important aspect of the offering, but I think in relation to running an event in, say, in Ireland, even if it's a smaller level international show where you're not necessarily, you've maybe not got the big sponsorship budgets to spend on fantastic hospitality. I think that people now just expect at least the facility. So it's not about necessarily having to give a lot away, but it's about providing the platform there. And people don't mind paying for it if it's good value, or and that has to be appropriate to the level of the show. So if you're going to, at Bolesworth in Liverpool, if you're going to run a 4-star show, you have to put on the expected level to be taken seriously. And I mean, last year at Bolesworth, it was a bit of a low point for me because we'd taken on new caterers and we charged everybody's owners and trainees accordingly, and I felt we really fell below that standard, and that wasn't good enough, so it's got to change. But I think, if you're running a 2-star show or just a local show, people don't expect to be necessarily given a lot or treated like royalty, but like Ben says, it doesn't cost anything to be accommodating, it doesn't cost anything to be polite, and one of the first things we did was change our entry secretary to, because she was just rude to people. You can't have that.
A lot of people, that's pinging a memory somewhere in their heads. Entry secretaries.
Yeah, that's where I think you've got to adapt, and sometimes that means upsetting people. And just because you've had Mrs. Jones in the office for the last 10 years, if it's going to hurt her feelings, all right, you've got to change things. Customer service is really important, and also, there's no excuse not to provide a platform for people to be able to bring their owners and find a way of, they self-control. As I say, people don't mind that, but it means it's an important part of the whole of organising
the whole package. We might talk a little bit, because time's galloping on. Equestrian tourism, Ashley, I'd imagine there's quite a lot of equestrian centres in the room and people involved in ARA and in teaching, writing and the hospitality sector as well. What, and I'll bring in Erin on this, what are we doing right and what are we doing wrong?
I suppose coming from, say the tourism company that I have, my first thing is to identify who my customer is, and I think that's really important, because then your message through your marketing has to stay consistent with that. So for me, it would be, I go after, obviously people, the public I target normally, and they are people who have an interest in travelling overseas, but they have a higher than average net worth, because I build customised and bespoke tours. That's my clientele. So when I'm doing a newsletter to my database, it's not about cheap eats in Dublin, it's castle and manor tours, and I keep that theme throughout. So I suppose knowing who your customer is and how to attract them is important. Another customer of mine is a travel agent, who some people may think is kind of outdated, but actually I'm just showing from my perspective that the clientele that I'm going after don't have a lot of time as a resource, so they're happy to pay a professional who will put the time into researching their vacation. They may have a week to spend with their family and they want to make sure it goes without a hitch and that they have a fantastic experience. So they'll put money towards that and have a travel professional do it, and I partner up with them. So say, for example, in your industry, if you're selling horse riding vacations or the like, and you have an up-to-date, easy-to-navigate website, and you have clearly labeled packages, and you feel like you're doing everything, ticking every box, maybe the next step is to look at partnering with somebody who sells, there's a lot of websites there who sell horse riding vacations throughout Europe or throughout the world, and maybe you should start looking to speak with them and see what their terms and conditions are. Then if it's your local centres, obviously through social media, if you're targeting your local areas, people love to see companies that are active, that are successful, or most of all that they're just trying and that they're innovative and fresh. So if it's your local riding centre, like get the people involved. Let them follow your story. If you're the new pony for lessons, introduce them to your followers. Just enough to pique their interest, so that they're looking you up and they're interested in you. You don't want to, inundate their newsfeed so that they stop following you altogether. So it's just enough to kind of tag them in and get them interested. If you're holding a local show, let them follow your preparations. Let them see how much is going into it, and then they're going to want to support you in your efforts. Because people do like to support when they see people are trying. So. I think it really depends on who your customer is first and foremost, and that's how you go about targeting them.
And how did you market your business? I mean, when you sat down and said, I'm going to do equestrian tourism, how did you sell it? Did you go to shows? Did you go to trade fairs? How did you begin?
So historically the company always dealt with FITs, or the public, we say frequent independent travellers. So I looked at that and I changed the model, and I went after travel agents and travel professionals. Because the market I'm in, I went specifically after virtuoso agents, which deal with high net worth clients. So for me, that was the right move. So I did travel shows. I made sure to do a travel show every year, that in your case it might be going to a show or wherever you can make contacts. Then I literally cold called. I was actually at WEF one year and I was finished jumping for the afternoon, so I got on the phone and started to cold call agents, and I ended up getting one of my best agents out of who I've done the most business with. And it just happened to be a call where I let them know that I was there and what I was what it is that we can provide. They asked me to come in and give a presentation, which I did, and they're one of our best clients. They send us repeat business over and over, and so I got active on that level. There's lots of different platforms that are inexpensive, or if it doesn't suit your business to be traveling and that type of thing. You have your website is so important. It seems like the most basic thing, but it's actually your shop window. It's the first place if I hear of something, look up their website. So if it's up to date, it's relevant, it makes my first impression really positive. So even if you're putting blogs on there to keep it relevant in Google searches, that's really helpful. By doing blogs, you're placing yourself as kind of an expert in the industry and giving your opinions and giving them a feel for what it is you do. So with your website, it has to be easy to navigate, or people will go elsewhere, and really straightforward, and your packages need to be really clear. So, for example, if you were looking to get groups over to travel, and say you reach out to some barns in the States and you get in touch with them, and you get in touch with their owner there and see if they're interested in putting together a group to send over. The first thing you're going to need is a really clear package of what is included and what's not included. So if they're putting together a group of students, I'll just use Florida for example. Say it's during the summer because it's too hot normally there to compete for them, so it's a good time. They have a ready-made group that are interested in travel. So reach out, make contact, put together a really simple, easy to understand package that they can answer questions on to their clients. And then you get the group travelling, which leads to referrals and repeat business. And if you could do that with a couple of different centres a year, it's a great start.
And again, and like we're talking about building relationships. Erin, can I bring you in here on this? Like when you look at your site, and this will tally with our discussion on social media, it's so picture-driven, and the Ralph style. It sells this beautiful kind of Hermes, kind of equestrian lifestyle to people who might have be up to the next in looking at horses every day and have no kind of association with that, but are professionals in the business. But also people who have just a passing interest in horses, who maybe rode once. How important is image, and are we doing that enough in selling Ireland?
Well, everything that Ainsley said I can second, because everything she mentioned strengthens your voice and what you have to offer. No, people don't quite do a lot because they still put blurring photos up. They still do screenshots. We still do that, and our standard has always been super high. It's become what we're known for, as you say. And I do a lot of the photography myself, traveling around. It's given us a lot of respect just from the photography. You can mention the writing, which I'm always striving to make better and more dependable, more accurate. But the photos tell every tale on Instagram, Twitter, not just on Facebook. Our voice started strong because of photography, and it's only gotten stronger now. So you want to take that back to Ireland. Absolutely the better first impression I have of any place I see online makes it automatically more appealing. Doesn't matter if it's completely normal. I live in Wellington, so I'm used to this over the top, everything, all the time. It doesn't have to be over the top, it doesn't have to be fancy, but it does have to be beautiful. And Ireland is one of my favorite places to take photos and come visit because it is so beautiful. Every corner that I see when I have my camera, you get to live here every day. You sort of want to tell yourself, look at it through the eyes of someone in America who's never seen it. Look at it through the eyes of, someone you want to tell the story of. And when I write and I take photos, it's what I always say to myself, how am I going to show somebody who hasn't been here what it's all about, and the best side of it as well.
In terms of social media, which channel do you feel is growing most? Which is working for you most? We'll talk about that a little bit.
Well, Facebook is the dominator. 57% of our traffic comes directly from Facebook, hands down. Facebook's goal itself is to become the internet. Facebook wants to be.
That's correct.
The search engine.
It's now hiring journalists and doing news, etc.
Exactly. Instagram is wonderful because we have strong following on photos, and then Twitter below that. But having a consistent presence across all forms is certainly important. But for driving traffic to your website, for Google searches, if someone just Googles horse riding in Ireland, you get a lot of respect if you have a great website, as she mentioned. And secondly, if you have a Facebook page, because Facebook is your proof that you're current and that you're out there. And all of a sudden the world gets very small and it starts looking to people like me in America. Well, I can easily go over to Ireland. It's just there. I can see these people. I know these people. It's the most important tool you have. It's free marketing. It's free marketing in so many ways. It's free marketing for us, as a news source, someone on the farm, of course, as a rider, and everybody really.
If you use it well, it's brilliant. But like any one of us who has Facebook, you scroll through it most days, you're like, oh.
Yes.
Like,
That's what people are too negative. People don't want to hear bad stuff. They just want to hear good stuff. Because when they're having a bad day, they can look at the phone and go, oh yeah, I like that pretty much.
Do you always post positive stuff then?
Pretty much.
yeah,
I try not to, right? I only post, you check it out. I only post bad stuff if it's funny to laugh at, because we all have them moments which are really funny, like if you fall from the water. I can get that on video, that's even better. But because people want a
I
bit
think
of
that's the add value or be funny. And I think
Or be beautiful and be attractive and be saying someone says, wow, what is that? And they click on it. If it's terrible news or if it's great news, I mean, I choose the image so carefully on every single thing we put out, whether it's about a blood rule or a community. Just make it look good. No blurry, no
Because
watermark.
images, don't they, like the research says, images travel much further online
Yeah.
than text. So something with an image is much more long, it has much more longitude.
video is a huge one now. I mean,
Absolutely.
everything you read and every conference you go to will talk about video.
How do you use video in your room?
We do little updates now. So a lot of our predictive analysis we'll do, like, this is the people that we think are going to be, top 5 after dressage. This is the people we think will win, and we do like little 2-minute updates. But something we can definitely improve on. What we have done differently in the last little while is we've done the podcast, which is what people are beginning to listen to in cars and travelling.
Right.
And we're trying to fit in with their lifestyle.
What platform were they launched of your webpage or Facebook, or where do people access them?
The videos,
No, the podcast.
the podcasts have their own site and they're on iTunes
Okay.
and SoundCloud and those places. But for me with social media, I really think it has to add value. Like, Floyd do it very, very well. Eventing Nation do it very, very well. Like, what you're looking for is and lists. Everyone loves lists. To the top 5 of whatever. You know, like literally anything like that, people will click in and they'll read it. And if it actually adds value, you don't mind clicking in and reading it. You know,
If it's good content.
well, yeah, if it's just saying to something you didn't know already. Right, okay, I'm interested in the fact, maybe no one has this, but I'm interested in the fact that Asti and Nicola was the only person who'd ever made the time at Chatsworth in 10 years until Chris Burton did it this year in the CIC 3-star class. Right, now I'm standing around having coffee with someone at the event and I can go, oh yeah, but no one makes the time there. You know, well actually, yeah, only one person, now 2 people have done it in, 1,400 runs. Like that one stat or that one piece of information is actually, alright, it's interesting and it'll add value. If you're on our timelines, you'll be interested in that kind of thing. But for me, I just think it kind of goes back to what Ashlyn said, like why are we putting this up? So much of the time I look at what's on social media and I'm like, oh, why, like, and I mean that from a business point of view, not just you. I know what you're doing.
But Ben, I suppose, Ben, you...
This is very specific, you see. You can talk about those figures and, like, without being rude, after about 10 minutes I get bored of that. Yeah. And people want to know what... I think they want to compare their lives to your life. So they want to say, oh, they do that. Oh, yeah,
They want to see ordinary things.
Ordinary things,
like
but that still look good.
Yeah.
So, like, instead of putting a frigging hour-long video of your boring dress, as I said, put a little bit of where you've done a little bit, what looks good on. I don't know, I just seem to want to do what I like and what I think is good. And I can only prove it by figures that it seems to work. And I think too many people, when we were talking about before about writing things that are irrelevant, they go, oh, I went to the show today, I bore down and I did this and he was annoyed, but no one really gives the monkeys about that.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But I think he can answer his why. That's what I don't mind about that. Like he can answer his why in that loads of people follow him because they like the style, they like the way he comes across, the way he talks about everything. And his why is that he's building a brand that when it comes to attracting sponsors, attracting owners and showing them value, he can go, well, people retweet me 4,000 times when I tell them what I have for breakfast. That's fine.
It is, but yes, it is coming.
I just talk a bit about the social media from the commercial side.
Yeah,
We're talking a lot about brand building there, personal use. From the commercial side, in our industry, I think Facebook massively outweighs anything else. But I think it's also important to understand what a commercial beast Facebook has become. And so when it started 10 years ago, you posted your post and all of your friends or followers saw it. And now, Facebook I'm in absolute awe of it because it's really replacing Google. And, as you mentioned before, and it's such targeted advertising. And we spend a big chunk of our marketing budget on Facebook. And also I think you can do a lot of very technical things through Facebook now that you might think you need a digital agency to do, but it's quite easy to put a little bit of code in the back of your website through Facebook, which is all free if you know how to do it. So with a little bit of technical support, and if you've got your Facebook pixel in the back of your website, and you can also tie it in with your email database. So if you've built up over the years 50,000, 20,000 email database, you can now sync it with your Facebook account and you can target certain pieces of advertising to that those lists. So it might be you can target an advert to the people that have visited your website in the last week, or you can target your advert to people on your email database. And where people used to spend money on Google advertising, I think it's now a much easier to use, user-friendly way of getting targeted marketing reach now via Facebook. And with figures to back it up, and also you actually have access to support if you look quite deeply into Facebook. And I spoke to somebody the other day from the Facebook team based in Ireland, and they said, be aware of the difference between your brand building, sharing your videos, getting your likes and shares, doing your competitions, but actually, if you're trying to sell something like tickets, his advice to me was, target your main posts, which you put your budget behind, to click through to your website. So you're actually getting that direct call to action.
That's
people
very
that are
good.
landing on your website to buy, which is what you want. And we find that video, when you're actually putting budget behind an advert, use a video, because you automatically get that bigger reach. And so if you're going to spend your money on it, it's worth putting a bit of time and money behind getting some really good video content, because that organically magnifies your reach. And I think, by the video content we use over Liverpool, in that couple of week period, we've got a million people reached.
I saw it travelling online, and I mean, I suppose one thing to say here is just do always have a web page though, as well as a Facebook page. There's nothing as frustrating if you go to look up information of a company, whether you be a question centre or breed or whatever, and you have a Facebook page, but no website, with no address, no contact details, and no kind of stability to it with just your basic information. Facebook isn't your basic information, it's your ongoing doings and your updates and this and that and the other. So I would really, really advise to have the two. Also, I think, I first came across your business, Diarmuid, on Twitter. I use Twitter an awful lot. Journalists absolutely love Twitter because it repackages stories for them. I flip them into stories for RTE or the Indo or the Times, and I get so much of my content off Twitter, even if of horse stories. And they might come from Horse and Hound, they might come from the Racing Post, but they come from the Racing Post Twitter account. Because I don't sit down every morning and read the Racing Post. So that is a huge, huge driver of content that can then become a 7-minute feature on your business on a national radio station. It's so, so important.
And also, definitely through Facebook Live, and I think Twitter does a similar service. It's a very, very cheap, homemade way of doing live streaming, which you can then boost those posts as well. So it's a way, without going to the expense of live streaming something, it's a way of getting people from around the world to see it.
And Instagram Moments is doing it as well. So you can literally film a little clip of your youngster who's coming on well, or whatever the topic is, and it'll travel much, much further. Ben, just before we finish up the social media issue, or the topic, your brand is so big now because of social media. Is it the case that your clout is bigger with bigger social media following than simply years ago would have been your ranking on the national or international stage? So you'd have top ranking rider and down. You can now have mid-ranking rider, but in his engagement or her engagement with the world and sponsors and clients, whatever, is bigger, so therefore that carries more weight?
Yeah, definitely. I'm on the rank of riders, I'm nowhere up to be seen on it, but I'm building my brand, and my brand is my company. I sell horses, we sell for the shop now, and things like that to earn money. I want to earn a living, and my Facebook page alone has reached out to nearly 10 million people in 1 year. The views are getting more and more and more, and with that, I can say to a sponsor or a company, we've just picked up a new sponsor last week that's helping me fund my new arena, and I said, I can give you, these are the figures we can get. You can I'll show you. And it's simple as that. So it's two businesses coming together to both benefit. Yeah. And it all started from, like you said, about it all being free on the internet. It is, and I've just built some up that people like to follow. Simple as that. By being myself.
People like to follow you.
You'd say I do, but I do it while I'm on a horse, trotting around once I finish. Simply because I think it's funny. I like my horse, and I think the horse is nice. And it's just being truthful.
Like to be able to do it when you're trotting around. Like it isn't something that if you left for periods.
It's like if you have a job though, you can't go to job and sit around doing nothing, can you?
It has to be in your head all the time, I think. You have to have a little bit of nous to sort of go, this is a great picture here, or this incident is funny, or my dog has done something interesting if you're a rider and your shots are about dogs or whatever your business is. Now you pick quirkiness.
It
has to be interesting.
At your magazine, what I've seen of it, you're creating value. You're basically saying, my market's here. This is how I live my life. This is how my horses look. This is how I portray myself. And that's hopefully the type of customers, clientele, companies that I want to attract. Not, gold and stuff like that.
Noelle, do you look at, do they have to be very, very highfalutin kind of riders and stories that you cover? Or what are you looking for to cover as a journalist in terms of yards, in terms of businesses or errands? Or?
Well, with the style page, no, we're looking for everybody and everyday riders and everyday stories, absolutely. And if you're sitting there looking at this massively successful man on social media and thinking, how could I ever reach 2 million people? Well, you don't have to. You just have to, be yourself and have personality and tell your own story, because you could be a pony rider, a small child, or an amateur. But if your story is just somewhat out there and we catch a look at it on Instagram or Facebook, we'll tell it. We'll give it a bigger megaphone.
In Sweden, I think, and she just rides a little grey pony. I noticed she followed me, so I checked on. She had more followers than me, and she just. But honestly, she's probably rides no bigger than 80 centimeters.
I think I know her.
Little grey pony. I think.
Well.
But you know what? She takes cute pictures of little grey ponies jumping, and people. It depends on who companies are here. If you're trying to, if your market's kids riding ponies or something, pay her to advertise your company. If you're an event rider, pay them to do it.
And her images are very beautiful.
Yeah.
Very
She does a
beautiful.
good job.
The
And she doesn't do that
does a
because
very
she's
good
thinking
job.
about it and she's thinking I can make money. She's doing it because she enjoys it, and that's her.
Yeah.
And that's back to the point about people who try and write it all down. And I don't think that hard about it. I'm a pretty simple guy, to be honest. Because I've just jumped over it and he jumped frigging awesome. So I posted it.
Well, it's also
actually, I want to see what he's been tweeting from here. So you have 2 minutes to tweet something. We'll come back to you in a second. Actually, we're coming down to the last 25 minutes of this particular session. So it's time sort of to get your questions ready. If you can fill out your cards along the way, somebody will pick them up and they'll feed them up to me here. I'll pick them with 5 minutes left to go with the session. So 25 minutes.
While you're doing that, can we talk about one more thing? Elite Auctions, Nina. They're a new, flashy, gorgeous new thing that we all have gone and bought. You have one at Molesworth. Is this where the future is?
Again, I think it's been a tricky thing to set up in England because people in England go abroad to buy horses and they go to Ireland to buy horses, and so we've had to try and make it as squeaky clean as possible, get the best people involved as possible with it. And it was actually Barry O'Connor, who's obviously here today, who came up with the concept of auctioning a bunch of yearling show jumping horses, because one of the main issues with running an elite auction is getting elite animals in it. And when it's new, it's quite painful to put your elite animals in it and not knowing how much they're going to raise.
And then they mightn't be sold, which would be the horror.
And they mightn't be sold. So the theory behind that was that it's much less painful to put in a yearling than it is to put in one of your best 3 or 4-year-olds. And that concept really worked, and we've kept it really small to try and really keep the standard up, because I think it's always easy to overestimate how many checkbooks there are in the room, and it's better to sell everything and sell it well than and go big and have half the lots not sold, especially in England when we're already on the back foot. So no, it's been a good start, and it almost was a bit too strong in the first year. The prices were really good, and last year was a busy year, and it maybe lost a little bit of focus. But this year we're going.
And what types and ages of horses are you doing now?
Well, we're thinking of just opening it up a little bit to include some foals and maybe the odd embryo, but keeping it under 20 in number. And just really making sure now we've got a little bit of a track record that we go for real black type animals. So they're by super commercial stallions, and the dams are very closely related or have already jumped themselves, but to a number of international show jumpers that have competed to a minimum of 150 level. So you'd like to think you're putting yourself on.
The bar is quite high.
Quite high.
So people know its quality. Ashley, what's your experience of these on the continent? Have you bought horses at them?
I have. It always helps when it's a fun evening out and there's lots of drinks flowing, so that always encourages it for anyone who's wishing to run one. I highly recommend it, it works. But yeah, no, they've been, anything I've purchased has turned out really nice. I got a 3-year-old last year, which I've since sold on, and it was a really nice commercial type. I got in early before the prices went too high, and it's a really positive experience. It actually, I suppose for a show, it brings people into kind of a more entertainment as well as the show. So that, you know, if it's on a Thursday or a Friday night of the show, everyone's saying, "Oh, we're going to the auction," you know, and everyone gets to dress up a little bit, and it's that fun experience outside of the, you know, the jodhpurs in the ring, and, you know, I suppose the pressure of competing. So it's that extra element to a show, and as well it brings like maybe more buyers, or, you know, people who aren't necessarily in the industry at the minute. It entices them to get in, because often we bring some friends along, and next thing they get hooked on the whole thing, and they're busy, you know, raising their hands, and we're trying to keep them under control a little bit. But it is, I think it's a really fun element, and it does, as Nina said, it brings people back spending money in the country, which really helps. And we've had very successful auctions here in Ireland, which is good, which should be built on.
Should we have more of them?
I think, like Nina said, it's good to have, there's only so many elite auctions you're going to have, so I think it's important to keep it that and keep the quality high. You know, if the quality is a little bit varied, then people lose interest. So, you know, when it's a high quality auction, everyone's focus is on it. They want to see how much they make. They get caught up in the buzz of it. So I think that's important, to keep that kind of elite breeding, and to keep the mares that are competing to the highest level, and keep the quality high. So for me, I would
You'd recommend it?
Guys, any been to late auctions? Erin?
Yeah, as an American, they're not as common for us, but again, for me, it's always about the storyline. When I went to the Byrne auction in November, I didn't really know what to expect. I went to photograph it, and it was great. I got the personality of the people who were there, and the horses during the day, and the nighttime auction itself was kind of secondary to me, to the showing of the horses, which was where I found the greatest power in showing people what it was like in regions of interest. And the year previous, of course, with Dooney Douglas being bought by Katie Diamond, that had already kind of set the stage for people in America interested in show jumping. So, of course, state the obvious, if you can sell a Dooney Douglas at your auction, you're in really good shape. But that aside, if you can get it photographed on your social media and have people talking about it, it really builds value. We've got one in Wellington that just happened last week that they're doing year to year now for the past 5 years. That we say it's a night out, it's full, VIP's full, not hard to do in Wellington, but they're great, and I hope they keep getting more popular, especially in America, and that people in America see things like Gorse Bridge and keep buying
And come over.
and more for it. Yeah.
We're beginning to do a lot of the content on it now, so when you need that extra line around, well, actually what have they achieved, or
Performance-wise.
exactly, performance, and you're just having that couple of lines up your sleeve, either as part of the pre-marketing before an auction, to say we've got horses here who have achieved, or their progeny have achieved X, Y, Z, and then that sometimes often come out as part of the auction process itself as well.
So we could all be looking at horses then, you know, pretty soon, whose information is much more complex than it is now. Not, I suppose what has gone into forming that picture of them is much more complex, and it gives us, or as a buyer, more clarity.
Insight is what we aim for. I think your bottom level is just data and information. You know, that's what you can read on a page of results. You know, if you scroll through websites and if you scroll through form, you get results. And then being able to take it to the next level is statistics. So knowing that there's, you know, that it's a 10 or 20 or 50% win rate, and that it's an 8-year-old, and that it's going to Barbour. And then insight is where we are, where we believe it's important to know that actually it was the best finishing score of any 8-year-old at Barbour ever. Santiago Bay, I'm talking about 2016. You know, brother's being sold at Gorse Bridge this year. But you want to know that, like, if you want to know that Santiago Bay stat, you need to be, you know, you need to have that somewhere up your sleeve. So you bring insight to a group.
Can you sell your services to breeders and producers of horses to help sell their horses?
we're a B2B business, and like as a lot of people in the room will appreciate, like equestrian in general, particularly when you start eventing, hard place to make money. So we had to really concentrate on our clients being national and international federations. That was so we weren't dealing with people directly because we just didn't have the resources to be able to offer things for less than, you know, even events for us. We consider events as our marketing, live events. So whether we're working with Tyler Sales or whether we're working with Badminton or the Event Writer Masters, like it doesn't cover our costs really in terms of, you know, employing, like we brought in analysts from the insurance industry, just having them coding all day to produce the levels of information that we're now producing. We couldn't cover it by just dealing with individual people.
So where will your income come from then?
The income at the moment comes from ratings and how they're used. So, with national federations and international federations, we've produced safety ratings. So, Eventing Ireland membership will be aware of ERPs and the ability to track risk in the sport.
You've been doing quite a lot on that, haven't you?
Yeah, we've done a lot on that. I mean, that's the one for us that has gone global, really, and that's working with national bodies, and that will be coming in a lot more countries, and announcements kind of imminent over the different countries that are adopting that in 2017 and 2018. That's the first part of where the recurring revenue comes from. We also produce the same ratings in high performance, and then you move those across sports. So we wanted, for example, in an auction or in breeding, we wanted not just to be a 4-star stallion in eventing or in show jumping. We actually wanted to be able to go, here's the range within 4-star stallions. You know, actually there's one who's achieved this score, but actually there's another who's achieved that score. And then it's a 141 versus a 171. You're tracking there potentially what the progeny have on. If you're looking at performances of the actual horse itself, you could be saying, well, to win an Olympics you need to be about 188, and it's about bringing, like right now the numbers don't mean anything, but they're so accurate in terms of the predictive analysis. We know before the events it's going to take a 188 performance. Who's trending on it? There's the person. You're selecting a high performance team. It doesn't matter if you've done a 45 at Fontainebleau and you've done a 45 at Barbour. We can compare it based on ratings.
It's absolutely fascinating stuff, and there's so many applications. We just might move on though to the questions before we run out of time. Brendan, do you have a few there?
Yes, there are loads of questions coming in, we'll keep them coming. Liverpool show 2016 was so friendly, don't ever forget that. Also, the merchandise was very effective, grooms, jackets and bags, and travelling to every show everywhere I see them, very clever, plus Jeff Billington was so funny. Well done, Nina. So that's one guess. Suzanne Campbell, one for you. Why has it been so hard to get Irish wins abroad mentioned on the 6 and 9 p.m. news?
Say that again, why is it hard?
Why has it been so hard to get Irish wins abroad mentioned on the 6 and 9 o'clock news? It used to always happen years with lots of newspaper articles. Who's at fault and how can we change this?
I can answer that.
I'm glad you answered that
You
one.
know what? I'm probably one of the only journalists in the floor in the radio centre who pushes equestrian items full stop. It's very, very hard. Racing will sell itself, Cheltenham and the big festivals sell themselves, though sometimes they've complained as well, they're not getting as much airtime as they want. I suppose what's happened is, if you go back to the 80s or the 70s where you had riders, you know, they were visible in your country, the Eddie Mackens, the Paul Dowers, they were competing in Grand Prix at local shows. Now what's happened is our system, and we're talking about it, is much more fractured. So we've riders overseas who are competing at the top level, but they're not household names. And what's happened to the sports department, and sports and radio news are shared, sports and TV news are shared, is they pick the sports that have the most engagement at that time. So you can have something like cricket, and a cricket match result will get precedence over an equine result, even though there's much more participants in the country in equine sports rather than cricket. But that's what they judge to be the buzzy thing at the time. So I think it's a matter of, well, me for one, as I've chipped away doing more and more and more, I mean, when I went to them last few years and said I wanted to do a few eventing stories, they were actually editors and said, what's eventing? And I'm not being funny. They did. So, you know, I'm kind of chipping away putting the stories in there, and it actually builds a critical kind of mass. The more you do of something, the more people hear about it, and the easier it is to get that content on air. But I agree, there has been a sea change in the coverage of equestrian events, and we need to get it back up there.
It has got better. There's no doubt about that, but it also comes down to the editor in charge.
I totally agree with you.
Whether they have got an interest or not in equestrian sport, or whether they recognise whether it's Keane O'Connor, Jessica Curtin, Broderick, whoever it is, it's all down to the appeal of the particular rider. But you're right, the area at home, it used to be that you would have Paul Dara, Eddie Mackey competing at home, the Army competing at international shows week in, week out, and there were household names, and people knew them because it was community based. Gold medals do help. And
that wasn't meant to be. We're bringing dressage into the show, international dressage into the show at home at Barbour this year, because across all Olympic disciplines
become huge in Britain.
Sport in Britain, the only two individuals that make people buy tickets because of their own merits are Carl and Charlotte.
And they have really changed the perception of. I mean, it's not. Go on with your next question, but they have changed the perception of.
I want to take some of the questions.
Results count.
Yeah, give some of the questions to you because we're getting lots in. I'm just trying to answer some of the ones that people that won't make it to the panel. Is there a video podcast of the symposium available? Yes, it will be online afterwards, and all the details will be in the forgotten newspaper that we have not mentioned at all this afternoon, the Irish Field of the Farmers Journal. So, as in, all the information will be in there. Somebody wants to know about leader funding. That, of course, will also be in this week's Irish Field. As in, the details are not fully announced yet, that's why we're not 100% sure of them, but there'll be, Isabel and her team are looking at that, and they'll be in this particular weekend. Okay, back to you.
Well, do you want to ask the panel some more? I'll have a look through them, because I know people. Panel, we have a big vacuum between the top performers of our young horses, and the less talented trade type horses where there's very little market from them. And do you think we need to look at a market for these horses or a cull? And this is a very, very big area in terms of foal prices and prices for youngsters, event birds being poor. Nina, you have Irish stallions in your operation with Oliver Townend. What, you know, the less fancy type horses, we have a lot of overproduction here that we're still getting to the end of. What do you do with them?
Well, I think I've been full circle with the breeding a little bit, and definitely in England, breeding, you know, event-bred horses in this sort of thoroughbred, pure thoroughbred meaning of the word, really doesn't commercially work anymore. And I'm sure it's probably the same over here, because if they don't work as event horses, the hunters have gone down in value in the last 10 years. And so I think for me, the only stallion I would use to breed an event horse is one of the commercial warm blood type stallions onto a blood type mare. But really, and I think if you're wanting to breed event horses, it's trying to find the stallions that cross over between the top 100 stallions in the world in the eventing list and the show jumping list. Because not just any old warm blood will produce an event horse, because it's all about attitudes. And so you'll see the warm bloods that do work to produce event horses, because they'll feature in the top 50. But I think producing blood commercially for producing normal horses for the competition market, you've got to really be looking at the warm blood cross now.
Diarmuid, looking at ratings, looking at performance, are we producing too many Irish horses for that career plan for eventing?
No, I don't think so at all. Still see a lot of our horses at the absolute top end of the sport. I have to think about the question commercially as well, you know, not just from a performance point of view. But I personally, I think I really rate thoroughbreds, and I think there's a serious place for them in the future of eventing.
Okay.
That's luxury as well into the breeding programme, though, from a commercial point of view, unfortunately, although I would always rather be sat on an Irish horse.
There you go. I mean, there'll probably be more in it. This is a new one which we haven't covered. We haven't covered ponies. As a pony stallion owner and breeder of show performance ponies, what can we do to promote the Irish pony? A, stallions, B, brood mares, in particular
young stock ponies at national shows. And what has been done for the pony by HSI and in this sector. Who wants to take that up?
That's probably more an industry one, and maybe we can clarify that one a little later. One question here: speakers didn't specify what type of horse is good at dressage. The traditional Irish horse didn't get a mention. And
Ben, would you like to comment?
Yeah, I think European foreign warm bloods are more expressive in the movement. So what you talked about before about the 25 dressage, people want a quick fix. So instead of getting thoroughbred that chops like that, maybe they'll go get the fancy one, and I can be doing an event quicker, sooner, and get the job done at whatever level they're at. So there are a lot of thoroughbreds that do move really well, but there are less than warm bloods, and they sometimes take longer to produce.
Though on that, they can't do 25s, but it's perfectly reasonable to be doing 35s and double clear.
But the problem is as well, if they don't turn out good, then what do? They're useless.
Yes,
the market may have to quit, isn't it?
Which was comes back to the question about culling horses that are useless, and that is, it's an important one, and it's not to be ignored. Diarmuid, do you think the industry has been slow to adopt to technology?
Yes and no. I think certain aspects of it are. Data in particular, yes, we're way behind. In the afternoon, we'll have, Hip and Mundo are going to be here, and they're also made. We had a great conversation this morning, but certainly one of the things we found is that there's a bit of a fear of data. What are you doing in that room? And we don't want to give you any data about us, because what are you going to do with it? Now, essentially, data itself is pretty useless. It's about adding analysis and adding value that way. That's where it becomes valuable. So I think there's still a little bit of a reticence in the industry worldwide around if we give you too much information. If we give you our data, you've got too much information.
Because you can also point out that our animal is quite poor.
It's not good for the average horse, is it? The average that you say to the customer, it's a good horse, it'll do a nice test, it'll look after you because you can't see his stride, you can't do this. But they want the fancy one that you go telling them will win a 25.
No, we're not telling them that.
No, but
essentially, that's all going to boil down to price. That's just...
Yeah, and there's a place in the market for all, I suppose. It's how much you're going to spend on the top rating one. Erin Gilmore and Ashley, do you think... I'll go to you first, Erin. Do you think the low quality of facilities affects Americans coming to Ireland? There is a little bit of an issue with that sometimes. I know I go to cover a lot of the equestrian centres, and some of them, do intend to take out tourists on scruffy ponies, and they don't see a problem with that. But we need to be doing better than that.
I mean, do you really want people to expect Wellington chandeliers in your marketing? I don't think that affects it at all, actually. I feel like, as an American who lives in Wellington and looks at the fanciest barns in the world, I don't want to go to Ireland and look at another Wellington. I want to look at happy horses, of course, and clean facility, but some of the best experiences of my life have been coming to Ireland and riding on the beach. You can make a normal place, again, look beautiful. You can present your normal, you think your farm is sort of normal and ordinary and low quality. It's actually not. It's what probably my barn looks like at home. I personally don't think that affects it at all. If someone wants some fancy experience, they can go to Belgium and pay a lot more money to go around to the show there. But I think it's more real and genuine.
We're charming enough as we are, is what we say.
Absolutely. Chandeliers that much appeal.
Ashley, you might differ. What do you think?
I think it's split into two. So if they're coming for a trail riding vacation or whatever it might be, I think that the rustic charm, we really do.
We do that in spades.
Yeah, and it works. And they love the informal, warm welcome that they receive, and the ponies that they pulled out. It's all an adventure and it's fun, and I think, that's what they expect to get, and that's what they're coming for, and, they enjoy that, and it's not so structured that they might find in other countries, and I think they enjoy that bit of freedom where they'll stop off for pub lunch on the way and things like that, and that all adds to the experience. I think if they're buying horses and they're on a schedule, and either the trainer is with them and they're feeling under pressure to purchase the horse, they've paid for flights and accommodation and that kind of thing, I think is a different sphere where we could probably be a little bit more professional in just being organised and having the horses' details ready, having their arena raked before they get there, having the required jumps ready for them to try the horse, and as you said earlier, having the horse there helps. So, those, the basics that will let them have a really good experience, make them want to come back, make them tell their friends about it, because they love having an import, is what I found. You ask somebody about their horse and they're like, oh, it's an import, it's from Ireland, and you're like, oh, excellent. So,
we have loads of those.
Yeah, it's lovely. Great, I have another import for you if you want it. But, so there is that, and I think to get them over, and actually just a statistic that I find interesting is to get a new client costs 5 times more than keeping a current client. So if you have an agent that comes to you with clients or whatever, look after them, and have the product or the horse looking well, or whether it's a trail ride and it's an agent that's sending customers to you, make sure their customers leave happy. Testimonials are huge, so if follow up and get the positive testimonials, put it on your website, put it on your Facebook, because as we all know, people will speak about a bad experience twice more often than a good one. So if there's a good testimonial, get it out there and put the focus on it. And people love TripAdvisor in my business anyway, and they'll believe it, because it's an unbiased review from their peers, and they love to go to that, and they trust it, as I said. So if you have positive ones, chase the people for a review and get them posting on your social media as well. It just helps brand awareness and helps with referrals and future business.
One final question, and this is the last question that we're going to look at, and then we're going for some dinner. Look at the audience here. What advice would you give to them to advertise animals on the traditional market side? Not everyone here is on social media, and not every Irish breeder, and most of the Irish breeders are older and not on the online marketing. How can these be helped?
Yeah, online.
Hire someone.
Quickly, we'll run through the panel. Erin?
I think we agree. Get someone to get you online. That's where the
People
world
have heard about choosing as long as it's time and money. So if you show me a nice horse, it creates demand. I know I got one guy, and if he shows me a nice horse, I'll buy it because someone else will buy it if I don't.
But we've got a traditional market whereas Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat are all there. But we've still got one very fundamental piece of equipment in this country that, say, over 60,000 people are reading each week, is a newspaper.
I knew you'd get that in there.
But as an Erin, you've got a magazine as well. It's digital, but still, people love to get the product in their hand.
Yeah, they love print. People love print. But that horse will be sold before the magazine's out.
None of you in the Irish do because we're online as well.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think the Irish Field, the Irish Farmers Charity are both great resources. Certainly print media in the UK, I would say, is probably more expensive and harder to track. It's harder to measure exactly who you're targeting and its effect, how many people actually read your ad versus putting it in the newspaper with that level of circulation. But yeah, I do agree with you. I think Irish Field and Farmers Journal here still play a huge role in accessing an equestrian audience.
Aisling?
Going back to the question, if they're not online and they're not willing to advertise in any way, you're left with your old-fashioned options. Start using your contacts. Start talking to people. I find when I'm away that people talk about their horses. They say, "I have a lovely 4-year-old." They're not shy about talking about. Whereas we kind of hide them away until they're ready to do the talking first, so to speak. So, but get onto your contacts and pick up the phone. Start, if you know someone who does a lot of business to the clientele that you think your horses do, get onto them, let them know about it, give them videos if you can manage a video or whatever.
And Nina, you just mentioned that with Liverpool, and it's in relation to the same question, that you went down more the social route this year of marketing and advertising, and it was a mistake.
No, I didn't say it was a mistake. What I said was you can't rely on any one form of marketing anymore, and there is definitely still a place for the print media and for newspaper advertising. And from an event point of view, you've got to use the whole spectrum. But from a selling a horse point of view, the first question anybody asks is, please can you email with a video or WhatsApp me the video? So if you haven't got a friend who can make you a video and send that video, then I think you're in the wrong game.
Well, the discussion is only about getting going, but it's time to have a break and have some food and stretch the legs. And join us back here for the second panel. Before you move, actually, will you please put your hands together for our entire panel? And Suzanne Campbell